Rebecca Eanes wrote in her book Positive Parenting in 2016, so often children are punished for being human. They're not allowed to have grumpy moods, bad days, disrespectful tones, or bad attitudes, yet we adults have them all the time. Parenting is hard, but we rarely stop to think about how difficult it must be to be a child. I'd like for you to imagine the worst day you could possibly think of having. Say you wake up 30 minutes late for work already. It takes another half hour to get there. You spill hot coffee all over your last clean uniform. Bills are piling up, some are already behind, and you're almost there and you get a flat tire. At this point, you would likely feel like crying. The only difference between this and your child having a bad day is your brain is fully developed and you're equipped with the tools you need to handle your big emotions. Your child is not, and it's our job as parents to do so. Gentle parenting at its core is the authoritative parenting style. It offers gentle alternatives to common parenting practices and is beneficial for your child. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some background information on gentle parenting, two of the most common parenting practices today, and some alternatives, and finally the benefits that gentle parenting has on your child. Let's start with some background information. Gentle parenting is positive discipline and guidance with empathy. You may have heard of authoritative parenting before. Authoritative parenting is not the same as authoritarian. In fact, according to a 2009 study in the Journal of College Student Development, written by Turner, Chandler, and Heffer, authoritative parenting is characterized by high levels of nurturance, involvement, sensitivity, reasoning, and encouragement of autonomy. Gentle parenting is a term used to describe authoritative parenting. In the same study, Turner, Chandler, and Heffer wrote, authoritative parenting involves direction of activities and decisions for children through reasoning and discipline. There is a difference between discipline and punishment. Discipline derives from a Greek word that literally means to teach. Punishment almost always involves isolation and shame of the child. Gentle parenting is not permissive. In fact, that's one of the most common misconceptions about gentle parenting. Chan and Koo write in a 2011 edition of the European Sociological Review, a parent who parents permissively sees him or herself not as an active agent in shaping the child's ongoing or future behaviors. I'm confident that you now know that gentle parenting is the authoritative parenting style. Now I would like to provide you with some of the common parenting practices today and their gentle alternatives. Almost all of the common parenting practices today have alternatives that are much gentler. One of the most common parenting practices is spanking. Sadly, according to a 2012 edition of Child Development, written by McGuire, Gromowski, and Berger, approximately 1/3 of all American families report spanking their child as young as 10 to 18 months of age. And even worse, research has shown that it is an ineffective discipline strategy and is correlated with poor developmental outcomes. Spanking is not discipline, spanking is punishment. And moreover, it's a teachable moment that would benefit much further from offering choices and giving the child reasoning for the unacceptable behavior. Timeouts are also a very common parenting practice today. They're ineffective for many reasons, but perhaps one of the most important is written by Schriever in a 1909 edition of Young Children. The adult's need is met, the child's needs are not addressed, and timeout does not teach alternative strategies. Luckily, there's a very similar alternative, but with a huge difference. Time in is very similar to timeout, except in time in, instead of banishing the child to another room or a corner, you take the time to acknowledge their feelings, give reasoning for why the behavior is unacceptable, and help teach and develop alternative strategies. You can see that there are gentler alternatives to the common parenting practices today. Now I'd like to provide you with some of the benefits that gentle parenting can have on your child. Gentle parenting is beneficial for your child. If you'll recall, gentle parenting is authoritative parenting. Research written in the 2016 edition of Journal of Comparative Family Studies, written by Salhuden and Winskell, shows authoritative parenting style has been claimed to be the most beneficial in terms of developmental outcomes. Gentle parenting teaches empathy, respect, and boundaries while fostering the ever-important parent-child bond. Research shown by Hartman in the 2015 edition of Addictive Behaviors shows gentle parenting decreases the likelihood that your child will keep secrets from you. This can have unlimited benefits. Gentle parenting at its core is the authoritative parenting style. It offers gentle alternatives to common parenting practices today and is beneficial for your child. Today I've talked to you a little bit about some background information on gentle parenting. I've given you 2 of the most common parenting practices today and alternatives to those. And finally, the benefits that gentle parenting can have on your child. Did you learn to crawl by being spanked? Did you learn to walk by being banished to the timeout when you fell? I don't think so. I think you learned these things through love, guidance, and empathy. And I don't see why discipline should be any different. I'd like to leave you all with this. One of the most important bonds a child can have is with their parent. So it makes sense to eliminate fear and shame and guilt and replace these with love, empathy, and guidance. So I ask you all today to take on the gentle parenting lifestyle or parenting style with your child or future children.